In spot number 10, we have Anne Hathaway. The role in Les Miserables was, I'm saying weird y'all because it's kind of French and it's coming out really weird. But anyways, the role was not only emotionally straining for the actress, but it was also physically straining as she lost weight for the role and chopped off her hair. She said her diet consisted of lettuce and oatmeal paste in order to lose the weight to take on her tragic character, which was a lot to come back from after the movie was done. When speaking about her experience during an interview, she said, "I was in such a state of deprivation, physical and emotional. When I got home, I couldn't react to the chaos of the world without being overwhelmed. It took me weeks till I felt like myself again." The only good news that came from all the strain that she went through was that her performance won her an Oscar. And if you haven't seen it, it was well deserved. Oatmeal paste, also what is that? That sounds disgusting. Cruising into number 9 is Margot Robbie. You would think she would be completely unbothered after watching her take on the role as Harley Quinn in Suicide Squad, but apparently she had a more difficult time when filming I, Tonya. She took on the role of the vilified figure skater Tonya Harding, which seemed to have come at a big cost. She revealed that she needed weekly MRI scans after herniating a disc in her neck. But her physical health was actually the least of her worries. She got so lost in her role that her real life became dangerously blurred for her at times. During an interview, she said, "I had lost my mind. I genuinely thought we were these people and we were off the set, running down the street, screaming at each other, and the cameras were running after us." Things got especially hard for her because her character had to be in an abusive relationship, which she found very emotionally traumatic for her, even off camera. Making his way into number 8 is Leonardo DiCaprio. His role in The Revenant brought him a lot of praise and even an Oscar award, but it wasn't all glitz and glam. The actor went to extreme lengths to play the role of a man who has to go to crazy lengths in order to survive. He didn't have stunt doubles to do all of these scenes for him either. He actually filmed in sub-zero temperatures, did river dives in freezing temperatures, wore frozen bear skin, and even ate real raw liver. If you've seen the movie, that is real. Like, he could have used something fake, but no. He committed. Of course, he got sick during the filming process, which isn't a surprise after what I just said, but it was all the physical strain that also brought him some mental struggles. He says the movie took him to a mental place that he never imagined could happen, and though he was thrilled to win an Oscar, he did struggle with this experience. During an interview, he said, "I'm not complaining about the difficulty of it, but it took us all somewhere that we never imagined." Well, I can imagine. Like, they can't fake the temperatures and things like that. Like, did you have to eat real liver? I don't get it. I mean, I do get it. Method acting.
At number 7, we have Tom Cruise and Tandy Newton. Back when they had filming for Mission Impossible 2, they were surely forced out of their comfort zones. Even more so because Tandy recalls herself needing to be heavily dedicated to her kiss with Tom in the 2000s because of how much they struggled to get it right. According to multiple reports, Tandy was simply not a fan of how, air quotations, sloppily Tom kissed. And in her own words, Tandy once stated that locking lips with the Hollywood hunk was slightly icky and sort of wet. The amount of effort that went into the smooch also turned Tandy off further. Quote, "To take away the mystery and magic of what you see in the movie, you're lying there, you've got 30 people around you, prodding all bits of you to make sure that certain things aren't being seen and others look good. Even when you're kissing, you can't kiss too hard because then your face sort of spreads across the other person and it looks terrible." So when Tandy wasn't so much focused on the actual act of kissing, she was worried about how she looked on camera while it was happening. When she did a sit down with The Guardian around the time, Tandy noted how it's so clinical, you're thinking more about whether or not you're squashing him than kissing him. All in all, I guess the impossible in Mission Impossible really proved itself here, huh? At number 6, we have Kate Winslet and Leonardo DiCaprio. Back in 2009, Kate admitted that she could not fathom the thought of being forced to kiss Leonardo in their shared 2008 film Revolutionary Road. And yes, this appalled many dedicated fans of the two actors since they had already smooched on screen for the 1997 Titanic film. However, as per Kate, her husband was directing their 2008 film at the time, so surely this made things pretty awkward in regards to their exchange. Kate even further opened up about how embarrassed she was over the whole ordeal in an Elle interview, saying, "It was more that neither Sam nor Leo seemed the slightest bit bothered. I was like, is it just me who feels a bit weird about this? You know, my friend, my husband. But it was just me." And to make things even weirder for Kate, she continued her story with, "There's this amazing still that was taken on set of Leo and me kissing, and Sam is in the background. You can see this look of absolute intensity on his face, and I knew all he was was thinking about at that moment was the frame of the shot. In the end, despite Kate's resistance, she and Leonardo shared fantastic chemistry for the film, which eventually led Kate to win a Golden Globe Award for the category of Best Actress in 2009. At number 5, we have Will Smith and Eva Mendes. Of course, naturally, most actresses seem to dream of the thought of a deeply intimate, movie-styled kiss with a well-known attractive actor. And Eva was also included in this list of stars when it came to Will. She signed on to shoot love scenes with the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air actor for their 2005 rom-com Hitch, and the mental note of the pressure to lock lips with Will was seemingly too much for Eva. So what did she do to calm these nerves? Well, like any other gal waiting to kiss someone, she indulged in her favorite comfort food of a tuna fish sandwich with crushed Doritos and extra onions to be rid of her butterflies. Not even kidding about the latter half, by the way. According to reports, the not-so-cute combination caused her breath to smell extra bad and was said to have completely turned Will off. To Will's luck and quite possibly his rescue, Eva downed a whole box of Altoids to help be rid of the stench that overpowered her mouth from the quote stank breath special. From this point on, the two were able to successfully shoot their scene. Following filming, Will was asked to recall his experience in 2005 when he sat down with Oprah Winfrey for her show, and he described the kiss with Eva to be absolutely wonderful. However, many viewers deem this as an attempt on Will's behalf to be polite and not speak poorly of the actress, mainly because there's just no possible way he was okay with that initial smell. At number 4, we have Jennifer Lawrence and Chris Pratt. Now, J-Law was apparently so worked up to strip down with a then-married Chris to film their makeout sessions for the 2016 sci-fi film Passengers that she took to grabbing some liquid courage to help her through it. But in an unavoidable turn of events, she ended up getting extremely drunk, which only spiked more anxiety in her. She discussed this with a Hollywood Reporter at one time, saying, "When I got home, I was like, what have I done? I don't know. He was married, and it was gonna be my first time kissing a married man, and guilt is the worst feeling in your stomach." In order to save herself, Jennifer continued to explain her side of the story, quote, "I knew it was my job, but I couldn't tell my stomach that. So I called my mom and I was like, will you just tell me it's okay? It was just very vulnerable, and you don't know what's too much. You want to do it real, you want everything to be real, but then that was the most vulnerable I've ever been."
In the third spot is Adrien Brody. The actor's physical transformation for the 2002 movie was obvious, but no one knew about the mental and emotional strain that he went through until he opened up about it. He discussed how hard it was for him to take on the role of a Holocaust survivor, and even though he won the Academy Award for his performance, he said it was at a high cost. He told BBC that to prepare for the role, he gave up his apartment, sold his car, disconnected his phones, and moved to Europe. But the most difficult part was the emotional effect of starvation that he found was the most surprising and most difficult to deal with. He said, "I've experienced loss, I've experienced sadness in my life, but I didn't know the desperation that comes with hunger." Things were actually so intense for him that he said it took a year and a half to even settle back into regular life once he had finished filming. Y'all, I get so cranky when I'm hungry, I can't even imagine. Actually, I can, because he got paid a lot of money, so I would do it. Rolling into number 2, we have Dakota Johnson. While many people know her from 50 Shades of Grey, she's also known for her outstanding performance in Suspiria. She played an aspiring ballet dancer in the movie that was a reboot of the 70s horror classic. The role took such a toll on her that she admitted to feeling very low and needed professional help to recover from the role. She spoke to Elle and said, "No lie, Suspiria effed me up so much that I had to go to therapy." She said the shooting process itself was not traumatic, but when the movie was wrapped, she turned to her therapist to help manage her emotions. She explained that when she takes on a role, she tends to absorb a lot of the people's feelings, so when working with such a dark subject matter, it stayed with her even after filming was over. In our number 1 place is Heath Ledger. His performance as the Joker in The Dark Knight was so chilling that it landed him an Oscar for Best Supporting Actor, and it is still talked about to this day. Sadly, he tragically passed away before being able to accept his award for this legendary performance. The years following his passing, rumors spread claiming that the movie was part of his demise. Reports claim that he took the role very seriously and took the method acting a little bit too far. It's been said that before filming began, he put himself in strict isolation, keeping a diary of disturbing images as a way to help him enter the realm of a psychopath. Even when he wasn't on set, it's been said that he was struggling to shake the character in his real life. Before passing, he talked about the filming process and told the New York Times, I quote, "I probably slept 2 hours a night. It was actually a mixture of painkillers and sedatives that ultimately took his life, so people often blame the movie role for his tragedy."
Number 10, Mark Wahlberg. M. Night Shyamalan's The Happening has been called one of the worst screw-ups of his career. But that obviously doesn't include The Last Airbender, which I'm sure fans of the original series would rather forget. So it's no surprise that Mark Wahlberg trashed this ridiculous movie even though he had the lead role. The film follows Elliot Moore, a Philadelphia high school teacher who tries to keep his wife safe during a global crisis in which plants spread a neurotoxin that causes humans to take their own lives. Maybe it was something to do with photosynthesis, who knows. Wahlberg himself admitted that he had no idea what was happening in The Happening. He just took the role because he was tired of playing tough guys. Quote, "The Happening. F it. It is what it is. Effing trees, man. You can't blame me for not wanting to try to play a science teacher. At least I wasn't playing a cop or a crook." Shyamalan responded to the actor's criticism in 2019, and he really took the whole thing like a champ, saying, quote, "It's totally his call, however he wants to interpret it. At least he has a good attitude about it." Number 9. Rooney Mara. The horror genre definitely isn't for everyone, just ask Rooney Mara. The actress starred in a 2010 remake of Nightmare on Elm Street, which currently holds a 15% on Rotten Tomatoes. So enough said there. It was a remake of the classic 80s horror movie of the same name, with the plot of the movie being centered around the infamous character Freddy Krueger. The actress basically said that it was something she didn't really want to do in the first place, and while speaking to Entertainment Weekly in 2011, she explained that it was just something she had to audition for, probably because her agent put her up for it, but unfortunately for her, she couldn't help but nail her audition. Quote, "You kind of learn to self-sabotage with things you don't want to get. Sometimes you don't want to get something, but you do a really good job and you get it anyway." That's kind of what happened with A Nightmare on Elm Street. In fact, Mara said that her experience working on A Nightmare on Elm Street was so bad that she wanted to stop acting forever. And because she felt like other projects were going to be similar, she wanted to pursue a different career entirely. I don't think that's even possible to trash a film more than that. Number 8. Dwayne Johnson. Movies based on video games are always hit or miss. If you're lucky, you'll get a Resident Evil. If not, you'll get 2016's Assassin's Creed with Michael Fassbender. So it could really go either way. It all comes down to whether or not the filmmakers understand the franchise, and if they have the ability to really pull it off. Dwayne Johnson's Doom was a major flop. To start off, the movie is about as 2000s as you can get, and not in a good way. The actor took to the stage at the Amway Arena in Orlando in 2008 and started dumping on the movie right away. Quote, "Did you ever see Doom? Well, you probably didn't, and it's okay because nobody else did either." It's pretty funny, but he wasn't wrong. Fans and critics alike thought the performances were awful, the action sequences were impossible to follow, and the violence was gratuitous. No wonder it sits at 18% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Up next, number 7 is Christina Applegate. This one wasn't a movie role, it was actually a TV series that left the actress in therapy afterwards. So I'm counting it, because it still somewhat counts. Netflix renewed her show Dead to Me for a second season after the dark comedy received praise from audiences and critics. Of course, she was thrilled for the good news, but she also had some nerves knowing she would have to film a second season. This was because she said the role took a physical and emotional toll on her. There were some physical aspects that took a toll, like having to dance, which she said was very hard on her 47-year-old body. But it was the mental side of the role that had a lasting effect. During interviews, she revealed that she had to draw from her own personal losses to get to where she needed to be for her scenes, and that obviously caused her to need to go to therapy to get through those personal emotions. She said, "It tapped into some stuff that I had to face. Did I start therapy after I shot the show? Yes, absolutely. I love a celebrity who will admit that they're in therapy. There should be no shame about it." Rolling into number 6, we have Shelley Duvall. She played the iconic role of Wendy Torrance in The Shining, which would be any actor's dream, but it actually turned out to be mental torture, according to the actress. The movie shot for 13 months, and the infamous baseball bat scene took up to 127 takes. If you don't recall the scene, it requires Shelley's character to scream in terror and cry the entire time. The actress said she spent 12 hours a day just screaming, and that trying to give that level of performance every day was almost unbearable. She explained how much it took a toll on her mental health and said, "To wake up on a Monday morning morning so early and realized that you had to cry all day because it was scheduled, I would just start crying. She revealed that the emotional strain actually put physical strain on her as well, explaining that her body would basically rebel and tell her to stop crying every day. She said that she would cry off camera just thinking about the scenes, and crying she would have to do at work the next day. 127 takes. Come on. If the act, like, I'll be damned if I'll be like, bro, you need to get your directing in check if I have to do this 127 times. Halfway through our list, at number 5 is Heather Donahue. Her acting career was short-lived because her breakaway role had left her scarred and turned her away from the industry. She took on the lead role in the iconic movie The Blair Witch Project, which was an unusual movie shoot that left her with constant anxiety. All of the cast have spoken about it and agreed that they did not have an enjoyable filming experience. As they plunged into the woods to film, they didn't know exactly what the directors had planned, so they were deliberately alarmed every night, which kept them in a state of constant anxiety. A lot of the scares and emotions that we see in the movie are actually real, you guys. Not only that, but the movie's unusual marketing technique forced her to pretend the movie plot was real before the movie even came out. She had to pretend in real life that she was no longer alive. She talked about the strange experience and said, "My obituary was published when I was 24. It's a complicated thing to be deceased when you're still very much alive and eager to make a name for yourself." So after the movie, she ended up quitting acting, and she is now a novelist and screenwriter. Can you imagine? I understand the whole marketing technique they did to make it feel like those kids were disappeared, but like do you tell your family? How do you tell your boss at work, like, I'm not dead? Taking over spot number 4 is Bob Hoskins. The actor had an incredible career and will always be remembered and loved for his role in the movie Who Framed Roger Rabbit. What appeared to be a really fun movie to film, the actor had to spend hours a day talking to and acting alongside fictional characters that weren't actually there. Seems like fun, maybe, but apparently it was a lot more difficult than anyone thought. Bob spoke about how difficult it was and wrote in a note that he had learned how to hallucinate during the filming process. He explained that he would constantly hear the voices in his head of the characters that were never there while he was filming. When shooting, he found himself constantly talking to himself and even hallucinating that Roger was sitting in the same room as him. Things got very intense for him that when he spoke to his doctor actually advised him to take a break from acting during that time. I mean, yeah. Imagine talking to nothing for an entire movie shoot. An entire movie shoot. Nothing. Like, oh, like you're just I would go crazy.
Number 3, Katherine Heigl. I think we all remember 2007's rom-com Knocked Up with Katherine Heigl and Seth Rogen. It was not just hilarious but very well received all round, scoring an 89% on Rotten Tomatoes and bringing in $219 million at the box office against a $25 million budget. But Katherine was less than thrilled about her participation in the movie, playing Allison, a rising journalist who gets knocked up after a drunk one-night stand with Ben, an irresponsible stoner. The actress has since called the film sexist, telling Vanity Fair in 2008 that she thought the movie, quote, paints women as shrews, as humorless and uptight. It paints the men as lovable, goofy, fun-loving guys. She went on to say that she had a hard time with the film on some days because she said that her character was a B-word and a killjoy. But some have argued that that's exactly what makes the dynamic between the two lead characters work so well, because they need to be able to bounce off each other. Although to be fair, Katherine does seem to get typecast as the uptight, workaholic character an awful lot. Number 2, Shia LaBeouf. The Transformers franchise is known for its gratuitous action, crazy explosions, and bankable blockbuster hype. But there's a reason that its star Shia LaBeouf left the Michael Bay franchise after 3 films and later went on to denounce the movies altogether. For the first 3 installments, Shia played Sam Witwicky, the likable hero at the center of a battle between ancient alien robots that can disguise themselves as conventional vehicles. The movies were immensely popular worldwide, but that just wasn't enough for Shia to look back on them in a positive light. In an interview with Esquire in 2018, the actor expressed his distaste for the franchise that was a significant part of his adolescence. Quote, "My hang-up with those films was that they were irrelevant. They felt dated as F." He went on to compare the Transformers to movies with Robert De Niro and Martin Scorsese, where there is value in what they do. Quote, "It's very hard to keep doing what you're doing when you feel like it's the antithesis of your purpose on this planet." He's completely entitled to his opinion, but not every action movie has to have a deeper philosophical meaning. Sometimes it's just entertainment. Number 1. Robert Pattinson. This one is actually hilarious, because even though the Twilight movies have arguably made Robert Pattinson a star, the actor has been pretty honest about his feelings towards the movies and their source material. Long story short, he is not a fan. In a 2008 interview with E! News, Pattinson described Stephenie Meyer's book, which was basically the plot for the first movie, as a book that wasn't supposed to be published. Yes, he actually said that. And when asked about his character, the sparkly vampire Edward Cullen, the actor also had some issues there. In another interview that same year, this time for Empire magazine, Pattinson outright said he hated his character. Quote, "The more I read the script, the more I hated this guy, so that's how I played him, as a manic depressive who hates himself. Plus, he's a 108-year-old virgin, so he's obviously got some issues there." That's really funny, but while Stephenie Meyer may not be too pleased with his comments, it's good to see that he's not afraid to make fun of something that he's worked on.
At number 10 we have Zoe Saldana and Orlando Bloom. Now Zoe may have been dubbed as one of the luckiest women in the world for her kiss with Orlando Bloom in the 2004 film Haven, but Orlando wasn't nearly as fortunate according to himself. He spilled to people back in 2006 that Zoe's off-screen romance with her boyfriend made things weird for him, as the other male would often visit the set to sit in on their shoots. He exclaimed to the media outlet once, quote, "I hated kissing Zoe. I was like, take your tongue out of my mouth please, your boyfriend is standing right there." Most people think kissing beautiful co-stars must be great, but it's always awkward. And in an even more amusing turn of events, the Guardians of the Galaxy actress also made reported claims about their love scenes, dishing that her exchange with Orlando was gross. I guess the average reviews for the film make sense now given the two main actors seem to lack some serious chemistry. At number 9 we have Alec Baldwin and Jennifer Aniston. Among many of his charming personality traits, one thing Alec seems to lack is a soft-spoken nature, but many people seem to adore this about him. So there wasn't much surprise for fans when he let his feelings regarding his on-screen kiss with Jennifer Aniston explode in the media. The kiss in question was for the hit show 30 Rock, and when Alec was asked by New York Magazine about his experience in a 2008 interview, he informed the publication that it was, quote, "painful. I mean, every man who's had to make out with her in TVs and movies, I don't know how they do it." However, he seemed to tell people the exact opposite of his previous remarks about kissing the Friends actress that same year during a gala. He described the situation as the greatest day of his life with, "Whenever you do that with someone, it's so fake. They're getting paid to kiss you and I'm getting paid to kiss her, but she's a doll." And well, in light of his then latest response, hopefully Alec was just joking about that first part. At number 8 we have Matt Damon and Angelina Jolie. The whole world was surely in collective shock to learn that Matt was complaining about his lip-locking action with drop-dead gorgeous Angelina, but his reason why he felt turned off is actually quite justified in my humble opinion. Matt discussed their 2006 film The Good Shepherd with Reveal magazine at the time to break down why he was in such a pickle when it came to kissing Angelina. Matt described the incident as such: "We're old friends, so it was like kissing my sister, really awkward and generally awful." Even more, in a 2006 appearance on Good Morning America, Matt exposed that he was especially troubled by the fact that at the time, Angelina was married to his good friend Brad Pitt. Still, the encounter didn't seem to faze Brad all that much, as he told Now magazine back then that a physical thing is, for some people, like me, very easy. You're two adults and you enjoy each other and you know that it doesn't mean anything. Whatever it was is left there.
Number 7. Jennifer Aniston. If you haven't seen Leprechaun yet, I'll get you up to speed. The 1993 horror about a little Irish monster who just wants to get his pot of gold stars Jennifer Aniston a few years before she became super famous on Friends. Aniston has made it clear that she would rather forget this movie ever existed, and it's probably for good reason. We'll never know if she ever watched the movie when it was released, but while speaking with People magazine in 2019, she revealed that her ex-husband Justin Theroux forced her to sit through it on one particular night. "I watched it like 8 years ago with our mutual friend Justin Theroux. We were dating. It was one of those things when I tried to get that remote out of his hand and there was just no having it. He was like, no, this is happening. And she went on to claim that she couldn't sit through it and just kept walking in and out of the room because she was cringing so much. She also added that she recognizes that the film is a cult classic and that when she filmed it, she was still starting out as an actress and she couldn't believe she was actually starring in a movie. So it's nice to see that she was able to find the silver lining. Number 6. Anya Taylor-Joy. This one is really confusing because horror fans and critics everywhere collectively agree that 2015's The Witch is a stellar movie. It really jump-started everyone's love for elevated horror when it came out with its anxiety-inducing story of a 16th century family banished to the edges of polite society who fall prey to the devil. It was the total opposite of the kind of cheap jump scare horror that we've been subjected to since the early 2000s. Anya Taylor-Joy has the lead role in the film, but according to her, the first time she watched it, she felt that not only would it come to nothing, but that it would actually destroy her career, which is crazy because it literally did the opposite. While speaking with IndieWire in 2021, the actress explained that she saw The Witch a couple of hours before the audience at the Cannes Film Festival, and it sent her into a spiral. Quote, "I was devastated. I thought I'd never work again. I still get shivers thinking about it. It was just the worst feeling of, I have let people down that I love most in the world. I didn't do it right." She even said that she cried after watching it just from the stress. Fans will agree that she's definitely being too hard on herself, because since the film's release, her performance has received nothing but praise. Number 5. Halle Berry. The actress brought the femme fatale comic book superhero to life in 2004's Catwoman, but ever since then, she has been pretty open about how bad she thinks the movie really is. To give you some perspective, the movie earned a measly 9% on Rotten Tomatoes and was trashed by fans and critics alike. And in 2005, the movie earned her a Razzie Award for Worst Actress. And the best part is that Berry actually showed up to accept it and took the opportunity to dump on the film. Quote, "I want to thank Warner Brothers for casting me in this piece of god-awful movie. It was just what my career needed. I was at the top, now I'm at the bottom." The infamous speech was not only hilarious but actually earned her a lot of respect from fans, considering how many actresses would not be willing to make fun of themselves or call out a terrible movie that they've been in. She also said that she wanted to thank the writers, all 20 of them, which proved to everyone that she was not only witty but a really good sport about the whole thing, adding that it was what it was, but if she had the chance to do it again, she'd hope to make it better. Number 4. Channing Tatum. After being launched into fame from 2006's dance flick Step Up, Channing Tatum decided to take on a more action-packed role in 2009, and ended up snagging the lead role in the sci-fi military movie G.I. Joe: Rise of Cobra. This movie managed to rake in over $300 million at the box office and was extremely popular at the time, so you'd think Channing would be proud of it. But no, in fact the actor has been super vocal about how much he hates the film. In 2015, Channing told Howard Stern, quote, "I'll be honest, I effing hate that movie. I hate that movie, I was pushed into doing it." He went on to explain that after he filmed Coach Carter in 2005, Paramount signed him onto a 3-movie deal, which sounded like a dream at the time in his career, but the issue was that by the time the studio actually got around to filming G.I. Joe, 4 years later, Channing's Hollywood career had taken off, and he didn't want to make what he already knew would be a terrible movie, since at that time he could afford to be more selective with his projects.
At number 3, we have Emma Watson and Rupert Grint. Now, when you have two actors who are literal friends and have watched one another grow up throughout their filming process together, of course things get a bit weird. The same can be said for Emma and Rupert, who saw each other mature as they acted alongside each other in their starring roles in the Harry Potter series. It was to no one's surprise that Rupert had a difficult time coming to terms with him and Emma's scripted kiss in a scene for the Deathly Hallows Part 2. When asked about their moment during a 2016 People interview, Rupert said, quote, "I never look back at that scene. I've known Emma since she was literally 9 years old, and we have this very brother-sister relationship." With an even more vivid description of their kiss feeling surreal, Rupert added, "I have a memory of her face getting closer and closer, like, oh my god. I can't really remember anything apart from that." However, the history shared between them wasn't a single factor in making their kiss mega aux. In fact, Emma dished to MTV News in 2009 2009 that her desperation to get the scene over with resulted in her pouncing on Rupert. Thankfully for both young stars at the time though, Emma quickly recollected herself and their kiss was perfectly captured, forever remaining engraved in the history of the Harry Potter series. At number 2 we have Tobey Maguire and Kirsten Dunst. This pair's iconic chemistry on the big screen for the 2002 box office hit Spider-Man had many loving the classic Marvel flick simply because of their on-screen relationship. Even nowadays, fans and non-fans alike rave over their famous upside-down kiss. But unlike the impressive note it left on viewers, the actors felt the complete opposite. While the smooch took the breaths away of many, it did so the most for the actors, and not in a good way. Tobey even told reporters in 2002 about what the experience was like for him and how it must have been for Kirsten. Quote, "There was rain pouring up or down my nose. I couldn't breathe and I was gasping for air out the corner of Kirsten's mouth. Poor girl, I was giving her mouth to mouth rather than kissing her." Even more so, in accordance with the Great Gatsby actor, apparently the rain wasn't the only factor behind the memorable For the Wrong Reasons kiss. In his Parade magazine interview, Tobey added, "When Kirsten rolled back the wet mask, she cut off the air completely. Jeesh, I can't imagine what a pain that was to finish." However, despite their hardships, the fan favorite smooch became one of the best movie kisses of all time and eventually led the actress to win an MTV 2003 award. At number 1 we have one of the most popularly hated on-screen kisses in the history of movie making, because not only did our next two stars despise their on-screen smooch, but they reportedly also couldn't stand each other. Acting duo Rachel McAdams and Ryan Gosling teamed up to film the 2004 romantic comedy The Notebook, but their filming period being with each other was apparently immensely difficult to get through. According to multiple reports, their shared ill feelings towards the other became so horrible that Ryan demanded Rachel be axed from the film and replaced with a new actress. Director Nick Cassavetes revealed Ryan's request in a 2014 VH1 interview where he stated that Ryan had said, "Would you take her out of here and bring in another actress to read off camera with me?" I said, "What?" He says, I can't do it with her. I'm just not getting anything from this." Clearly, we all know now that Nick decided to keep both actors in the film, smartly might I add, as this movie is still arguably the best career moves for both Rachel and Ryan, as well as one of the best romantic drama films of all time.